So, insight 44. Now, the previous insights, the past two insights, I mentioned inputs that is data coming to you from outside, that is directly given to you or indirectly, but they're coming from the outside. The indirect way was a suggestive way. Now we're talking about the inside inputs. Inputs, that is data coming to you from within you. Inside inputs are generated from our thoughts, imagination, emotions, and some are generated from bodily sensations having to do with how the body feels with itself and its internal functions. Okay, so explanation. As you know, the thoughts of a person, imagination, and feelings can be entirely generated by the person themselves, without any outside influences. Therefore, those thoughts, imagination, and feelings, and their influences that are generated from within are categorized as internal. The bodily functions such as heartbeat, digestive system, and all other functions of the body, when running smoothly, generate a positive influence over the person. And when they are not running properly, they generate a negative influence. These influences are again being generated from the inside. Therefore, they too are categorized as internal. A person can be the cause of their own arousal through thought and imagination, or they might think of a thought that leads to thoughts on sex. So I'll read that again. Or they might think of a thought that leads to thoughts on sex. The emotional state of a person might lead to sexuality directly, or the emotions could trigger thoughts, which then give rise to sexual feelings. So it's like we're showing how thoughts can generate thoughts on sex, emotions can generate thoughts that lead to sexual thoughts. Also, we're talking about how the body does the same thing too. The body itself is an active machine, constantly in motion, internally. Any and all bodily functions cause physical changes within the body, and any of these changes could trigger a sensation, emotion, thought, or imagination that could lead to sexuality. It is important to be aware of these methods for the purpose of not being surprised by them. It's about, again, being conscious rather than behaving unconsciously, meaning falling into a sexual behavior that has been generated by a bodily function and you not knowing about it. I'm going to give you an example of that. So, a simple rattle in the stomach. So, you know how sometimes your stomach makes a growling noise or some noise like that, or some feeling like that. So, a simple rattle in the stomach could remind you of a waterfall, and a lady underneath it being drenched, and sexuality ensues. Meaning you were led into sexuality. So a little feeling in the stomach, or it might remind you of, like bubbling water or falling water. You might think of bubbling water. You might think of, bubbling water in a, what do you call it, sauna? As a, where you sit down in a pool that is hot. I think it's a sauna. And jacuzzi, yes. And you might think of another person, a partner, being in there, and then so now you're thinking of sexual thoughts. You see, now you've a simple bodily function connected to that thought. You just allow that connections. Anyway, the physical sensation of being covered by a soft blanket. Again, so let's say you're tired, you want to stay warm, you go into the soft blanket, and because you have all of your body or parts of your body naked, parts of your body, maybe all or parts naked. So the physical sensation of being covered by a soft, fluffy blanket might remind one of fur and of the pleasing sensation of a naked body on the luxurious fur. Hence, sexual thoughts might arise. Therefore, sexual thoughts might arise. So this was showing you again how the body might, bodily functions might give rise to sexual thoughts.